For years, I was careless with my time. I worked 12 to 16 hours a day. I was busy trying to meet the demands of everyone's needs. I wanted to work hard to advance in my career, but I was missing out on spending time with my family, my friends, and me. I was basically failing to live because I absorbed myself in my 9 to 5. I also became sleep deprived because I've had a toddler who loved to be a night owl. Through all of that, I was running on empty, working and taking care of my family. One day, my body hit a wall. I woke up feeling severe pain down my left arm and my chest. I went to see my doctor, who insisted on the fact that I needed to see a cardiologist, who ran several different tests, and the results were earth shattering to me. The doctor informed me that if I valued my life, I needed to make changes, reduce my stress, eat right, quit my job, or I would die. Hi, I'm Crystal Randolph, creator and host of the THEE HR Chick podcast. Today's topic: value your life and guard your time. But before we dive right into our topic, I would like to give a shout out to our sponsors, CLR Solutions Group. If you're looking for career development, career leadership, and coaching, or a top-notch resume to beat the ATS systems, then CLR Solutions Group has a solution for you. You can visit them at clrsg.com to learn more. So that you better understand my life and my work ethic, I'm going to give you a little backstory. I grew up in a household where my father worked 2 to 3 jobs to support his family. He took pride in going to work, complained very little, and never missed a day. I mean, this man walked through blizzards 50 to 70 miles away from home. He would start his day early to make it to work on time, and as a proud daughter, I watched my father intently and develop the same work ethic. I went to work when I was old enough, and that was at the age of 13. I can remember it as clearly as today. I was so excited to finally get to the interview for a summer job. And at that particular time, New York, they had programs that allowed children to work meaningful jobs that led to internships and co-ops. And at that time, I wanted that for myself. And when I got to the interview, I was honored to interview with the police department. And I got the job. But the job they gave me was simply a clerk, just filing and doing basic things with documents. But the cool part about it, I got to work in Manhattan, New York. I was ambitious about my work, so I went to my manager of that department and I said, "Hey, I want to do what these chicks are doing." And I was pointing at the TSA secretaries. "I want to be a TSA secretary." And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yes. I believe that I could do such a great job of coding and entering police complaint forms that I can knock out all that work that you have over there on that desk." Mr. Pollard took a look at me. He smirked and took me up on my challenge and gave me that work to do. And before you know it, I was learning how to code and enter police complaint files. And I did. Within a month's time frame, I cleared the desk of every TSA secretary that was there. So now, do you understand my drive and my work ethic? So fast forward now to present day. I was still working that crazy. I was still meeting the demands of my employers. I had to be the right hand person. I had to be the career enthusiast. I wanted to be the boss. And actually, I worked to do that every day. And I thought that is what you do. That is what life is supposed to be like. I was so wrong. I never realized that I was missing out on some really precious moments. I can remember back to the year of 2014. I was working for a company, and my mother used to always say to me, you know, all I want to do is spend time with you. And I would tell her, like, Mom, well, we'll spend time together. I would promise her that I would take a vacation and we would go to the casinos and would do her favorite things like scratch offs and play the games. And guess what? That never happened. That never happened. My mother died. And when I should have been grieving her death, I was working. I was doing things for other people because I still at that time believed this is what you have to do to get ahead in life. These are the sacrifices that you have to make. And I continued down this path. I was running up states, running down states, barely home. I couldn't even take care of the Maltese puppy that I should have never bought because, oh my God, no one told me that they were so people dependent. But they're wonderful animals. But they are very, very needy and very, very opinionated. Ask my dog Nate. That's my Maltese that I'm talking about. I went on this path and I kept up this pace because I really felt like this is what's going to get me where I needed to be. I needed to be the head of an HR department. I needed to work so people can value my credibility. I needed to do this because not only am I at a disadvantage because I'm a woman in a male dominated industry, but I also happen to be Black. Thinking that life is working yourself to death because it's so embedded in you, because you're trying to change people's perceptions of you, and you're trying to live up to what everyone else thinks of you, you forget. You forget who you are, and you forgot what's important. So I had to have a rude awakening in 2020. The company I loved so much just showed me how much of a number I was to them. And that really set the tone to shift gears for me. And throughout the whole season's fiasco, you would have thought that I would have learned that lesson then. But no, I fell back into the same old habits and the same old routine. I actually started working even harder because I felt like I had to prove to everyone that I was just as good as anyone else. I was just as thorough as anyone else, and I needed to earn back my credibility. And again, I forgot about my family, my life, and my time. When you get caught up in the principles of an idea of what other people think about you, and you're so absorbed in that idea, you begin to forget about yourself. You begin to forget what's important. And here it is. Have a toddler, and these two big old eyes are staring at me, and all he wants is to be with his mommy. And I have to say, mommy has to go to work, or I can't play because mommy has to work. And I continue down the path of leaving early in the morning to drive about an hour and a couple of minutes to work on a good day and 2 hours on a really bad day because I feel like work was the priority. Stay at work late so that by the time I got home, I really miss my family. My son's asleep in the bed, and he'll wake up and look at me and want to stay up because he's missed me all day. So, because of that, we'll be up to 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. And guess what? This vicious cycle just keeps repeating itself. And I kept on with it until one day, the universe said, we need to do something and knock her flat on her behind because this girl's not getting it. And it doesn't matter how smart or witty I was, I just didn't get it until one day. I felt a sharp pain and I'm scrambling to find out what's going on. I don't even know why I don't feel okay. I want to feel better, but I have no idea where all this pain is coming from. And to think, I really thought that all these symptoms was through COVID. You heard about all the long-term COVID effects and whatever it may have been. But here's the reality that I had to wake up to. This has been a condition that I have lived my life with. I didn't know because there were no symptoms. I was probably born with it and no one knew. But no matter what, and out of my control, something was keeping me alive. But it got to the point where the universe needed to teach me a lesson. Stress plays a toll on your body. It plays a toll on your emotions. It plays a toll on how you see life. How you respond and go about it without really paying attention to it, about paying attention to the effects. You seem to think that the way you feel is normal, but you have to know something isn't right. And to think COVID exacerbated this for a lot of people because we've lost loved ones, friends, family members. People were losing their jobs. They've been at companies for years that just laid them off as soon as they went through a rough patch so that they could save a couple of coins. And going through all of that, we all realized that mortality was real. And you begin to see the shift where everybody, it's like they're not working for a crappy employer. They're not doing that. They're not working for pennies. They want to work for employers that will pay them for their time. Because let's be candid, I was a salary employee. And when I did the math, at working 60 to 70 hours a week, divide that out. I was not making that much money. I was a little higher than minimum wage, but it wasn't a lot. And that reality stung because all I was trying to do was get ahead in my career and I thought I was on top of the world. And when that all sunk in for me, I had to set out on a journey to change the dynamics because my time was not being valued. My health happened to be bad. I get this news from the doctor. I'm at a crossroad and I need to make a decision. And still, it's so embedded in me to be a good worker that I went back again to my worker bee mentality. Now I'm gone to say it's not okay to do a crappy job at work. I always believe that what you touch should always be great. You want to remind people that you did something amazing that you contributed to. But what you have to realize is if it is making you sick, emotionally unstable, and it's draining the life out of you, it's either time to move on and it's time to leave. I have to live now with that I can die any day. And matter of fact, any of us can, depending on the way of the world now and the things that are going on and the health issues that everyone is having. But for me, every day, I think about that. And I think about how it's a blessing for me to wake up and live this day with my family and my son, who's only 2. And to think if I continue down this road, I could miss valuable years with him because I've burned myself down completely. I cared too much about what people thought. I cared about how I needed to see myself advancing in my career. And although 2022 for me was so freaking painful that I had to um, go through several different things, it was also an awakening for me. It was also a mindset shift. Now, I'm not saying this to y'all because I want pity. That is the last thing I want. I do not want anyone to feel pity for what I'm going through. There are people in this world that are going through so much more than me. You have those people in the Ukraine that are waking up to bombs every morning. They can't find their kids. They don't know where their families are. Their bodies and blood everywhere. People have gone missing, and they have not gotten a reprieve since the beginning of this year. And how sad is that? So, although I'm going through a really crappy time, my life is not as crappy as what some people in this world is experiencing. But the mind shift that I want to talk about and the awakening that I'm going through, I felt that I needed to stop for a minute and think about the changes I needed to make. And in that process of thinking, I felt like I can't be the only person going through this situation. And I'm wondering, how do I fix this for myself? How do I fix this? And here, the ironic part to this whole freaking thing is that my dad used to say to me almost every day, never let anyone steal your time. When I tell you I never really thought about it or I never really knew the meaning of what he was saying, well, I can tell you that I know now. Time is something that is given to us, but once it's spent, it's something that we can never get back. We can't barter for it. We can't exchange for it. We can't kill for it. We can't buy it because no one knows how much time that they are allotted in life, right? And when you really, really think about it, and you really think about that quote where they say, there's so many broken dreams in the cemetery because people have wasted their time doing things that just didn't matter, that really weren't for them, just to appease what other people thought and what other people perceived. I am telling you right now that you should live your best life. Figure out what makes you happy. Spend time with the people that love you, not those fake people that are just with you so that they can get everything out of you and suck you dry, but people that actually love you. They have given you the time and the attention that you've needed, and they have been there for you because that time with them is priceless. So priceless. And you have to adjust the way you're thinking about life. Getting up and working a 9 to 5 is okay. You have bills to pay. You, like most people, may have to take care of yourself and others, but you should not absorb yourself in that. You have so much more to offer the world. You have so much more to live for. And you never know what it is that you may do in your lifetime that can be earth-shattering to someone else. I want you to live. The second piece of advice I'm going to tell you, stop caring about what people have to say about you and what they perceived about you. You're never going to change their perception, no matter how hard you try. If they have a thought, if they have an inkling, nothing you say and there's nothing you can do to change it. But remember this, if they're not paying your bills, they're not clothing you, they're not feeding you, and they're not wiping your behind, you can't worry about them. Duck 'em. And you know what I said it? Duck them. And I'm sorry I said duck because I need to be politically correct on this podcast. It is time for everyone to just basically reset, realign, and focus on what's important. And you know what? I'm taking the time out to do that work and that mindset change for myself. I need to take the time to really figure out what this is and what's going on and the changes I need to make. I don't have all the answers, but the answer I do have is that my life and your life is precious. How you leave your mark on this world is important because you have to decide what that is. And now that we're in a new year, you have time to reinvent yourself. For example, I've been working in the HR field for quite some time, but I took up a lot of hobbies and I've realized that I'm really, really good at other things. I just didn't realize that until I started trying it. And I started coming to the realization that I enjoyed it. And I have some crazy, crazy talent, just like you. But I also realized that I've had failures. Some things I tried didn't work out right. One of the failures I had was that I woke up one morning back in 2021 and said, I had this yearning to do a podcast. And I wanted to do a podcast so that I could just tell my stories to people, tell my HR stories. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up, I'm going to record the episode, and I'm going to keep this podcast going. And you know what? That's not how the year went. Life happened. I continued on down the same path. I recorded one episode, and that was it. But look at me today. That's okay because I'm recording episode 2 right now at the beginning of 2023. Because you know what? I'm going to pick up where I left off and I'm going to keep going. And I don't have time to dwell on what I didn't do and what went wrong. And I'm going to use my failures to help make me a better person for the future. I have to stay grounded and realize that I'm going to fail and I'm not going to always succeed, but I have to keep trying. And just like today, I'm recording this podcast because I will keep going and I'm going to keep trying. So for 2023, I want you to forgive yourself for what you've done wrong. Forgive yourself for the things that didn't work out the way you thought they should. Pat yourself on the back for the things that you did achieve and the lessons you've learned and how you grew from them and set out to do better this year. The beginning of a year is a great time to reset. In this fast-paced world, we often forget about ourselves and our needs. We have lost the art of caring for ourselves so much that many people today suffer from various health conditions because they do not prioritize their well-being in their busy lives. I am a victim of that. Time is the most valuable resource you have, and don't waste it. If you value your time, you'll be more efficient. And if you don't appreciate it enough or take care of it enough, all those hours you spend doing nothing worthwhile will feel like an eternity of struggle. Realizing that you've wasted your life can sometimes come too late to make a difference. So remember not to spend too much time on one thing, except perhaps the things that matter the most. It's essential not only to value but cherish our days on this earth, because this is where we get them, because our lives are finite. We should use them wisely and ensure they fulfill our purpose. And if you are like me who've forgotten, let me point out the obvious for you. Your life is valuable. You only have one, and no one else can live it for you. I want to take this time to thank you for accompanying me on this rough journey today. There was so much that I wanted to express about this topic, but I ran out of time. So in the next week's episode, my guest and I will explore the impact that stress has on your health. And we're going to look at industry tips and tricks to help us reduce that stress. Some tips and tricks to help us maximize our time so that we can live our life to the fullest potential. If you found this content helpful, please like, comment, and share. And And don't forget to subscribe to my show that airs on the first and third Wednesday of the month on Apple, Google, Podbean, and Spotify. Remember, your life has value, then your time also has value. Protect that time. Make sure it's used in a way that makes sense for who you are and what you want out of life. I'm Crystal, the HR chick, signing off.